بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Assalamu alaikum, friends. This is Muqtedar Khan. I'm a professor who teaches Islamic studies and international relations at the University of Delaware, and I'm here with you discussing the next ayah in my project, deliberating on the Quran one ayah at a time. As always, the purpose of this deliberations are twofold. Number one, to fulfill and obey God's command to deliberate on His signs. And the second one is also to obey God's command to try and extract the most beautiful meaning from His message. Today I will be discussing verse 32 from Surah Al-Ma'idah. This verse has been very, very important, especially since 9/11. It has played the constitutive role in constructing the Islamic narrative, the Muslim narrative, responding to all the Islamophobic discourses that have emerged as a result of September 11's attacks. I call it the 9/11 verse, partly in an ironic sense, and partly because before 9/11 this verse was not discussed as often in Muslim discourses, even though Muslims used to talk about jihad fil Afghanistan, jihad fil Palestine. There was not much discussion about this verse, but after accusations that Islam is a religion of violence and the fact that Islam teaches Muslims to commit acts of terrorism, this verse has played a dominant role in trying to deconstruct that narrative, and to a great extent it has shaped the way Muslims themselves now think of their faith and their relationships with others, and also how they think about violence, both state-sponsored and from out-of-state actors. But it also has shaped to a great extent the way other communities, interfaith communities, and those who are sympathetic to the dilemmas that most Muslims find themselves today understand Islam and Muslims. The verse is Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Min ajli zalika katabna ala bani Israel annahu man qatala nafsin bi ghayri nafsin aw fasadin fil ard faka'annama qatala an-nasa jami'an wa man ahyaha faka'annama ahya an-nasa jami'an wa laqad ja'atuhum rusulana bil bayyinat ثم إن كثيرا منهم بعد ذلك في الأرض لمسرفين. This ayah is a little longer, but I will unpack it for you, inshallah. The ayah essentially says that as we have decreed upon the children of Israel, so do we decree upon you, that whoever kills a soul, unless in exchange or as a result of murder, or for committing corruption on earth, it is as if he has slain mankind entirely. And whoever saves a single life, it is as if he has saved humanity entirely. And our messengers, we have sent a lot of messengers, but unfortunately, in spite of that, there are many on earth who are musrifin, or who commit egregious acts of violence, or who transgress the boundaries that God has defined. Now, this verse is very beautiful and very profound, and I will unpack it in the reverse order, in the sense that I will first address the latter phrase of the Quranic Ayah, the one which says, وَلَقَدْ جَاءَتْهُمْ رُسُولُنَا بِالْبَيِّنَاتِ. We all understand, at least I understand, that God feels anger. It is aware, we are aware of that from his famous tradition, where he says that even before he created the universe, he decreed upon himself that his mercy will prevail over his wrath. So we know that he's capable of feeling anger. We also know that he feels compassion and he feels love for those who love him. I don't know whether God feels sad, but there is a lament in the last part of this verse in which it appears that God is saddened by the condition of humanity, that in spite of the fact that He has sent us so many messengers, there are so many, kasiram minhum ba'da zalik. In spite of that and after that, there are many who on earth are la musrifin, who are excessive in their transgressions, which means they're not only killing people and committing mayhem, but they are doing that in an egregious fashion. And I feel that this is like a lament of the God. But who knows? The first part of the verse is obviously very interesting. It essentially establishes the most profoundest statement of prohibition of killing innocent people. It basically says that he who has taken an innocent life, who he has taken an innocent soul, is as if he has killed all of humanity. This is not just in Islam, but also as part of the Abrahamic tradition. You will find this verse in the Jewish traditions also. So in the Quran it says, he who has taken an innocent life, it is as if he has killed all of humanity. There are only two exceptions. You can take life justifiably of those people who have committed murder and those who commit fisad fil ard. And it's important to understand the meaning of the word fisad. Fisad could mean chaos, it could mean rioting, it could mean mass murder, it could mean mass shooting. So essentially people who disrupt in a shocking and a violent way the order of society, they can be killed. So clearly Islam does allow capital punishment, but only under these two circumstances. Then the verse proceeds further to say, and those who have saved one life, it is as if they have saved the entire of humanity. This verse is essentially, from the context of its revelation, it is apparent that it is the conclusion of the Quranic narrative of the story of Adam's son, Cain and Abel, Qabil and Habil, and God is lamenting over the loss of innocence of humanity, because perhaps that was the first murder and maybe even the first death. The death of Abel was perhaps the first human death, and it was certainly the first murder. And God is trying to teach humanity how horrible, how incredibly horrible a task or crime it is to take a life. He equates the killing of one soul to the destruction of entire humanity, in the sense that that he's not separating the entire humanity from one individual soul. We are not separate, we are all part of humanity. Thus, an attack on one of us is an attack on all of humanity. So that is, I think, one of the most beautiful aspects of this verse, that it equates the value of one life, equates the value of one soul to that of the entire humanity. And the way that God refers to this as killing of one soul, not killing of one human being or one individual or taking one life, has a divine and mystical quality to it, because at least Muslims believe that soul is essentially something that God breathes into our corporeal self, and so we become human. It is the soul that makes us human, and therefore killing of a soul is like killing of humanity. It also suggests to us that before you can commit an act of murder, before you can take another life, another innocent life, you have to kill the humanity within yourself. You have to lose your humanity in order to commit such an inhuman act. So in that sense, also taking one life is like killing all of humanity. And then, of course, saving one life is like saving all of humanity. This verse has obviously, as you might have by now understood, played a tremendous role in Muslim arguments and Muslim discourse, that Islam does not teach Muslims to kill people who are innocent. It is such a major crime. There is no way in which you could find means to justify terrorism, violence, excessive killing in the name of Islam. But this verse is also very interesting. A Pakistani scholar, Javed Ghamdi, has used this very verse to argue that Quran forbids the taking of life under all circumstances except these two conditions, for murder and for committing hiraba or terrorism or fasad on earth. So unless you're a terrorist, unless you're a murderer, you cannot be killed, even justifiably, by anybody invoking Islamic law. And he has used this verse to combat the narrative that people who commit blasphemy or people who are apostates from Islam should be killed. So in that sense, this verse basically has played a very important role in contemporary Muslim politics in the last 20 years. But what is more important to me is that we have used this verse, unfortunately, very strategically. Before 9/11, we did not use this verse as much as we do now. Even when today we talk about this verse, I would like to see it being used more in Muslim sermons, when we teach Islam to our children, when we talk about religion at home, when we talk about the battles that Muslims are involved in worldwide. It is very important for us to emphasize the essence of this beautiful verse, that you cannot separate humanity. We are all one humanity. You cannot take a soul away. We are all one human soul that comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So killing one soul, killing one person, killing one innocent being is like destroying all of humanity. We should rather be on the side of those who save humanity and not those who take the life of humanity. Thank you very much. I hope you benefited from this. Feel free to send me feedbacks. Feel free to also look at the videos that look at other verses in this playlist. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.